Welcome to Gapology Radio with your hosts Mark Tinas and Brian Brokoff, authors of the leadership development books Gapology, IMBAR, and Speed of Purpose. At Gapology, our purpose is to help leaders achieve their greatest potential. To learn more about our groundbreaking books and training services, visit our website, gapology.org.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gapology Radio. Tonight we begin a new series focusing on our book, IMBAR, The Pathway of Transformation. IMBAR is a method of clarifying your identity and your mindset in order to impact your results, along with impacting those you lead and work with every day. The book is available on our website, gapology.org, or through Amazon or Kindle or Apple iBooks. Also, when you do grab a copy, we'd love for you to leave a rating and comment. We don't have very many, mostly, honestly, because we really haven't talked about it that much, but we'd love to see your feedback. All right, so let's go ahead and get this series rolling with Mark Tinas. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Hey, Brian, I'm good. Sun is shining.
What? In California?
Yeah. California has sunshine.
What a change. What a switch.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. The Sunshine State, right? Finally.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you guys are drying out there. And I'm also glad to be heading into this new topic. So, I'm really excited about this new series we're going to do on IMBAR. And we really haven't talked really that much about IMBAR. I know we laid out at a high level what the different elements of IMBAR is, in our past conversations, but it's been a long time. I don't think we've really dug into it very much.
We haven't done it justice.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think there's a lot that people can learn. And if there are Gapology fans out there, like I know there are, I tell you, this may change your life even more than Gapology. When Mark first started talking about this with me, through our discoveries, I see everything so differently. Everything in my life is different because of IMBAR. So I'm excited that we're going to be digging into this a lot more.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Great idea.
Yeah. Cool. So what do you got?
So Brian and I are best known for Gapology. That's just a fact. So if you talk to people that would know us, from a distance, they would say, oh yeah, those are the guys that found Gapology, wrote about Gapology. And Gapology has had a huge impact on my organization or my team. And all that is true. And Gapology is bigger than ever. I mean, we wrote it, a dozen years ago, and it's bigger than ever. But nobody really knows about IMBAR, which is what I think you were getting at.
Right.
So Gapology was based on thousands of interviews that we did we started with winning leaders, and we wanted to understand what that was all about and why they were winning. And then we started interviewing non-winning leaders, to put it kindly, those that weren't winning, and to understand what that was all about. And through that process, we found Gapology. We discovered it, in essence, but and it's huge. So without Gapology, we would have never discovered IMBAR. But 100 years from now, I've been telling Brian this. 100 years from now, Mark and Brian are going to be known as the guys that discovered IMBAR.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it's big. It's that big. It's life-changing. And we've seen that many times over, but we really haven't marketed it. We haven't really done it justice. We've been so tied up with Gapology, and Gapology is so incredible and takes up so much of our time, and takes up the air in the room. And it's so, companies are so excited about it. You don't want to change the topic, but IMBAR's huge. And IMBAR is unknown. So if you're on this podcast today and listening, IMBAR is unknown. And if you can learn it and learn to leverage it, it's life-changing, career-changing, something you can share with others. It's really quite unbelievable. So tonight I'd like to just talk, Brian, about IMBAR.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. The way I kind of see it, Gapology is an extremely powerful method that people can use immediately and immediately change results in an organization. And I think Gapology is a segment of IMBAR. So it's built into IMBAR. And so if you can even step back further from a lot of the tactical elements of Gapology, I think that's where you start to see the power of IMBAR and how it can really transform not just results, but lives.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with IMBAR is the name is sort of boring. It just doesn't sound exciting. Gapology is cool. Wow.
Maybe we should have called it identityology or something.
Yeah, I mean, Gapology is cool.
Yeah.
It's my license plate, Yeah. IMBAR, what the hell is that?
Right.
That puts me to sleep.
Oh,
so
man.
So that's part of it. So IMBAR is the pathway of transformation. Think about that for a minute. It's the pathway of transformation. So if you wanted to transform yourself into the greatest performer in company history, whatever, IMBAR is the pathway of transformation, which means it's doable, it's viable, you can do it, it's right there. And so IMBAR is sort of a boring name until you get to know it. It's crazy. So we found in our Gapology interviews of winning leaders and non-winning leaders that IMBAR was what made the successful people successful. Now, granted, they were doing Gapology, but IMBAR was in there. IMBAR is what made the unsuccessful non-winning leaders the unsuccessful non-winning leaders. So once they knew that, they could change it. It's pretty amazing. So again, I'll repeat, 100 years from now, Brian and Mark will be known as the guys that found IMBAR. Let me read you, Brian, if you'll allow me. I want to read from a lecture that was conducted in Denver, Colorado, about a decade ago. You ready?
Yep.
So listen to this and take notes, folks. It's simple. It's one paragraph, but it's a full page. But you need to know this part. Here we go. We are all wired for greatness. We are wired to achieve extraordinary things. The hardware is already installed in each of us. More than 90% of humans just let their lives play out. What happens just happens. What will be, will be. Somehow, the other 10% got a different owner's manual. And it says that we are totally in control of who we are. We choose our identity. We design our destiny. It is simply our choice, not a birthmark or a birthright. Those of us who find out later in life that who we have been up until now is not who we have to be going forward are energized and empowered. It's an incredible experience. So we can be more than our past. Don't let our past define us. Let our future define us and design it. Our future is ours, every moment of it. We control our identity and our mindset, and those create our performance. We control the amount of success in our lives. Knowing this, believing this, leveraging this, we can literally design our future and therefore design our destiny. And this is the power of IMBAR. What do you think, Brian?
That's printed on page 9 of our book. If anyone wants to go back and read that over.
Which book?
Well, our book, IMBAR, The Pathway of Transformation.
Oh, I thought you guys wrote Gapology.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
No, that's what we're known for now. But I would invite everyone to go, grab the book, but flag that page, put a bookmarker on that page. That's one to go back to because it is a universal truth, a fundamental truth that IMBAR, our identity, how we see ourselves, produces our results. And if you can learn that, if you can come to grips with that concept alone, the method of IMBAR becomes easy.
Yeah. So let me give you some insight into this boring name IMBAR. So thought comes before performance. Think about that for a minute. So what's in our mind comes before performance. So IMBAR is an acronym, and the IM create the BAR. The IM create the BAR. And once you learn to control that, you are incredibly powerful. So the I is our identity, who you think you are. The M is our mindset, how you think. And that's created by the I, who you think you are. The B is your behavior, yours, what you do. The A is the actions of those around you that are created by the B, your behavior. And the R is the results and outcomes that you produce. Once you learn to control that IMBAR by controlling the I and the M, as I said, you become incredibly powerful. The I is a choice. The identity is a choice. You are not who your parents told you were necessarily. You are who you want to be. You can create the I. It's yours. So identity is a choice. It's who you think you are. It's an amazing thing. And we can become who we want to become. So stay with the I. The minute you learn to control the I, your identity, the M, the B, the A, and the R are a reflection of the I, and they change. And you can create whatever you want to create. We have seen so many examples of this. It's somewhat individualized, which is incredible. But for executives, and I'm gonna turn it to you, Brian, here in a moment, but let me just say this one part. For executives, not only do you control your IMBAR, but you impact the IMBAR of the organization, the team, and there can be a team IMBAR, but you also impact the IMBAR of your employees. You help define their identity, what you say, what you do, etc. And that means that the IMBAR of an executive can impact thousands of people. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah, I love that, Mark. I think the key thing from what you shared there for me is the power of choice. So I think many of us grow up with a specific identity that is sort of implanted in our being based on how we're raised by our parents, the people that we surround ourselves with growing up, our teachers, our mentors, and things like that. But if you step outside of that and you really look at, you have a choice to change that identity. This is you. This is your own life. You have that ability to say, you know what? That identity is who I was at whatever given time of my life, but it doesn't have to define who I am now or who I'll be moving forward.
I don't think I've told you this story, Brian, but I grew up as the son of a great auto mechanic. Everyone in our small town just worshiped my dad because he could fix their car.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted me to be a great auto mechanic. And it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. I wanted to lead people. I wanted to change the lives of people. So I struggled early on with the identity that he wanted me to be an auto mechanic. He owned a shop. He wanted me to run the shop. And I told him, that's just not who I am. I want to do something different. I want to lead people. And he let me do it. He let me, I was his only son. And you can imagine your only son, you'd want them to take over your business, but I couldn't do it. I'm not an auto mechanic. You've seen me, Brian. I can't even work a screwdriver. But put me in front of a group of people and I can change their lives. Yeah. And I knew that. So I had IMBAR inside of me, and didn't know it. And once I did the Gapology work, I could see it in others. But we own who we are. It's not defined by our parents.
Right. Yeah. What's interesting, Mark? So as you shared that, I started thinking, so what did your dad really do? So he took a car that was broken, not running right, that had potential. He fixed it. He improved it. He transformed it. I think in a certain sense, you are a mechanic, a little bit different, more of a human mechanic, because that is what you are. That's exactly what you do.
That's amazing. And all my dad cared about was making people happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be with him on a Saturday afternoon fixing cars. I was standing watching him. I wasn't the one doing it, fixing cars in our home garage. And he often wouldn't even charge people. All he cared about was making them happy and helping them improve their lives. So, but yeah, he knew IMBAR. It was it was hardwired inside of him.
Yeah.
And he loved his life. He was who he wanted to be. And I was different. I got to tell you this story about the marathon runner.
Oh yeah.
So the group will get a kick out of this. So I was hired by a leading financial firm to take on one of their underperforming financial planners and help them get better. So I met with a guy, and he didn't have much potential. First meeting didn't go so well. He was an underperformer. Yes, underperformer. Sort of who he was. So the next meeting, I said, what do you want to do? He thought for a minute, and he looked at me and he said, I want to be a marathon runner. I said, what? He said, I want to be a marathon runner. I used to run cross country. I loved it. I want to be a marathon runner. So I helped this guy with his IMBAR: identity, mindset, behavior, action, results, become a marathon runner. So within 3 months, I think, he ran a marathon, made it all 26 miles. He was a marathon runner. He'd accomplished that. Through that process of developing an IMBAR as a marathon runner, we learned the discipline to then go back and apply the same things to financial planning. And he became the top financial planner in the organization because he learned to become a marathon runner, because he learned to control his IMBAR. His identity, his mindset, his behavior, his action, his results were owned by him. The discipline that it took to become a marathon runner was exactly the same discipline that he needed to apply to become a great financial planner. He had the potential. It was inside of him. It was hardwired. He didn't know it. His organization knew it. His boss knew it. But IMBAR brought it out in him.
What do you think was the impact he had on other people?
Oh, he became a model. He became an example of what they wanted to become. So he showed an identity that they thought, I'd like to be like him.
Yeah. So think about that from an executive standpoint. So, all the people that he impacted within his own organization, also his customers, his clients, and that type of thing. So I think there's a lot of impact there. but think about executives within other organizations, the people listening to this podcast. What do you think they could take away from that?
Well, you're hitting on some great stuff. So a top performer in an organization creates other top performers in an organization just by modeling a behavior, which is an identity and a mindset before you get there, that they can emulate. So you're so right. That's why you'll see organizations that become successful really take off, because everyone begins to emulate the IMBAR of the others. The IMBARs are shared, the IMBARs are seen, the IMBARs are visible, they're real, they're tangible, and everything changes.
Yeah, I just think that's so interesting how that downstream impact, and we've talked about that before, what that really looks like specifically from an identity change, how you see yourself in a different light, how you see yourself, and then how that creates your mindset, your behaviors, actions, and results, and how that can impact others. And it really does create that downstream impact.
Yeah, I hope the leaders that are listening today will share this podcast with their teams. This is a significant podcast. If you are all, whoever you are out there, if we were all together today, we could create some incredible things. We could create incredible performance in our teams with the things we've talked about today. It works. It's not theory. It's real. It's already hardwired inside of us. And IMBAR may not be a flashy word. It's an acronym. It's so true. And we've seen it play out over and over again.
Yep. So just for the listeners, we're going to really dig into this much more in the upcoming episodes. We're going to dig into more of the steps around creating your identity. What are some of the specific steps that you can take to really look at your current state, look at your future state, define the actions that are necessary to make those adjustments. And we'll dig into this a lot more. And we're going to also look at it from multiple levels. So tonight we started the conversation around executives because we really feel that the top executives, the people leading your organization, they do have that downstream impact that can really transform the identities and the lives of people that work for them.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I really appreciate the podcast tonight. It's a big deal.
Yep. Good. All right. Well, thanks so much, Mark. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you then. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That'll do it from here. Remember to order your copy of IMBAR in either paper or in digital form on Amazon or through iBooks. Everyone have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology Institute production. Visit us at gapology.org.